Welcome to Guns and Gear Network, everyone. Appreciate you tuning in. I wanted to bring this little short video today about working with Kydex. I think for a prepper, working with Kydex should be one of your skills. It's not mandatory, but I think it can help you in a lot of ways. Obviously, we're very familiar with Kydex holsters, things like that. Kydex is not that expensive to buy. It's fairly easy to work with very basic tools that you got around your house. And you don't have to get too fancy. Some of the things like holsters for guns, to get the correct thing is going to take a little more skill, but you can make some very basic items with very little skill, and I'm going to show you a couple that I've made as of recent. You can buy Kydex off of places like eBay, and they sell it in different size sheets, and these right here I recently bought, and you'll have to kind of figure out what thickness you want and so forth. But I bought 2 sheets, and this one you see I've already cut out, and those 2 sheets were $10 including shipping. And if you look, I made, I'll show you what I made, and I've got all this extra here to make a lot of little small projects. And I'll show you what I made. I made this right here is mounted on top of my bug out vehicle. It's an axe, and I wanted a sheath for the head of the axe, and it's a simple design. It's what they call the kind of a taco style, where you cut it out and then you fold it over. Kydex can be heated quite a few different ways, and there's a bunch of how-to videos, so I suggest you kind of look at those, and that's kind of what I did to learn. To do this project, I heated it in a toaster oven. Pretty simple, you know, pretty easy. But what you'll do is I use cardboard to cut out kind of where I want to start. So I knew that that's about the size, because you want to give yourself some room on the edges to grind it down smooth and get your shape and everything else. So you don't want to trim it real tight. So to get it where it fit the whole top of the blade and then down into here, I went ahead and just made this pattern, which is a basic square pattern, okay? And I went and I measured on my Kydex that shape and just marked it and cut it out. And if you notice, I didn't even cut it out smooth. What I used to cut this out was a little cheap jigsaw I had. So I cut it out with a jigsaw, heated it in a toaster oven, and the way I ground it to get this shape is I actually took it's about a $12 angle grinder from Harbor Freight, and I've got a vice clamp that fits on that's bolted to a table, and I just flipped it upside down and tightened it down, and so it held it in place. And I just used that to make my shape around the edges. And once I've got what you do is you heat it in the toaster oven, and then get you 2 pieces of foam that is kind of like what you see inside of gun cases, that type of foam. And I put the foam on the bottom, heated it up, set it in there kind of where I wanted it, flipped it over, folded it over, put the other one on top, and then I put a book on top of that, and I sat on it. If you notice, the lines are not very defined. I didn't care. This was basically to cover this axe. That's all it was for. No more, no less. Pretty simple. It's got a little bit of shape to it, contours, but nothing too crazy. Then I bought these aluminum. Now, if this wasn't going to be out in the weather, I'd probably buy steel. But these are aluminum called Chicago screws, and I bought those off eBay. I bought them in a 10-pack. And the reason I bought aluminum, so when it's on top of the vehicle, it's not going to rust. So I just drilled holes and put those, and that kind of secures it all together. This thing is literally, I'll show you, and I did this little paracord loop here to kind of hold it on, but once this thing is on, it really don't come off that easy. So I have to kind of take it off at an angle and do like that to get it on. It's hard to do it one-handed. There we go. And then you do it just like that. And then this, I just simply wrap around the back side. See if I can do it on camera. Comes around here, and I just kind of work it around, and that's just to secure it, just in case this gets bumped, it's not going to go anywhere. All right, so that's one project I did. This other project I did a review on this knife and some of the additions I did, and I did this ferro rod holder. And again, I just took cardboard, kind of got the idea, I wrapped it around this to kind of get an idea of what size I would need and how big. And always go bigger than smaller than you think, because again, you're going to trim some of this out, so you're going to have a little bit of waste. Again, heated this up. I actually heated this up with a heat gun, one of them $12 heat guns from Harbor Freight. I heated it up real easy. If you heat too much, this stuff will flash and kind of get shiny. So be careful with your heat. You have to check it. Handle it with gloves normally. Once I got the basic temperature right and got it flexible, I just folded it over on this so it would mold to the shape, and then I just took and basically hand molded this. Then I shaped it on the edges here and drilled 2 holes, and it was done. Literally, it took me like 15 minutes to do this. It took me longer to get all the tools out and stuff than it did really to make this. If you look, that's a perfect little addition. So, you know, this stuff would cost me quite a bit of money, and I've got $10 in 2 sheets, and you see how much I got left over, and I've only done 2 little projects here that probably would have cost me, you know, $15, $20 for those 2 little additions if I'd had to go buy it otherwise. So anyway, guys, get you a couple pieces of Kydex, play with it. Again, don't expect perfection like some of the holsters you see from the true Kydex maker the holster Kydex makers, because I'm sorry, the Kydex holster makers, because that's what they do for a living, or that's what they've really mastered. This is for simple projects, and I think for the money, it's well worth learning the skill to be able to make some of these simple things for yourself. Anyway, guys, appreciate you tuning in. If you would, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be bringing another video shortly. Have a great day, guys.